We are strictly for Wilmington. We are not for profit, and we are for the community, which means that anyone with a story idea from the community can come down and be involved and produce that program.
So if the viewer goes to a play or a concert and sees a Continental Cablevision person maybe wearing a hat or in a van, that most likely the show will go on Channel 6.
Exactly.
Our people will be going out, and if we're not wearing the Continental hat or driving the Continental van, most likely the show will be on Channel 30 or 52 or both. We are nonprofit and we're non-commercial. So if anybody has any nonprofit ideas for programming for our community bulletin board, that's channels 30 and 52. Any concerns about commercials, that's channel 6. So there's a big difference between public access and local origination, or LO. Some people refer to it as LO. I want to get back to the creation of the studio, the task force, and how the studio came to the basement of the Swain School.
The original group started meeting and formulating what it is exactly that Wilmington Community Television was going to be doing. We had a number of things to plan from that very first meeting, not the least of which, where were we going to locate our studio? We wanted someplace that was going to be easily accessible, that the community would be able to recognize, that would be large enough to host the crowds of people that we knew were going to be coming in, and at the same time be able to provide us with the type of requirements we needed for a studio. So I personally was involved with that. I was on the studio design committee, and from the beginning I started looking at various locations around Wilmington. Wilmington High School was undergoing renovations at the time, and that was really the first place that I looked. Unfortunately, most of the plans for the high school had already been laid out, and there really wasn't the type of room that we needed for a studio and a classroom and offices and that type of thing. We looked into a couple of other buildings around town. The Swain, this location down here in the basement, as soon as I came down here, I knew that it would work well for us. It gave us the type of space that we needed. It gave us the accessibility. It was also very convenient for the high school students, because that's one area that I think a lot of people will become, the kids from the high school will become more and more involved and be taking more advantage of the fact that, you know, right after school they can walk right across the street. And in fact, they're welcome to do so. So we were very happy to get this location. We worked with the then town manager, Buzz Stupczynski, and came up with an agreement by which we would cover the town meetings and selectmen meetings and school committee meetings and be able to move in down here. And right away we started on a design and renovation. We had a local contractor, Arthur Smith, worked down here and gave us the studio as you see it now. And within 1 year we were ready to be opened. But actually it took a little bit longer than that. I shouldn't say within 1 year. We began, the first few things that we did were to write up bylaws, to write up our purpose, to work on those types of things at the same time that we were looking into a location.
Was this a separate committee?
Yes, oh yes.
Yeah.
The board of directors, as a whole, we drew up all of these things and drew up our bylaws so that when the time came for the studio to open, we would have our rules and our outlines right in place, which is pretty much what happened in the July of last year. July 4th weekend was really the grand opening weekend of our studio. We were out on the 4th of July celebrations during the Common, taping different events and kind of mingling with the crowd. We had a grand opening celebration at that time, and we've been in action ever since. I think that the activity level has most recently started to increase here at the studio, and we're looking forward to having that continue.
I wish the viewers could see the studio as it is now, not just the studio. Sometimes I confuse that, the studio versus the entire studio. The entire facility of WCTV is a very beautiful facility. We have a separate editing facility. We have a control room, a studio where we are located right now, an office area, the general manager's office, and a conference room area. We're very pleased with our facilities. If anyone wants to come down sometime, next week, the week after, anytime, please come down and just enjoy your community studio. It's your studio. We're very proud of the state-of-the-art equipment and the state-of-the-art facilities. We do have a call. No, we don't. Okay, keep calling. It's live on WCTV, 657-4066. I hope that was a call, and please try again.
One of the other things, Karen, that I think people need to be aware of about our studio is that there's a number of ways of being involved. You don't have to be sitting in front of the camera as Karen and I are this evening if that's not your strength and you prefer to be behind the camera. You'd like to get into producing or editing. All of these things are available, and Karen offers courses which are done on a regular basis, and you'll see the schedules. I believe you publish them on the character generator.
Yes, and they're also in the local newspaper.
So that there is an opportunity for you to be involved. Our board of directors is also, it's a group of 15 people, and we have gone beyond, obviously, the original board that was appointed by the task force. We now have regular elections, and we have a board of directors composed of 15 people. Every year there's going to be, it's on a staggered basis, so that every year we will be having an election, and if you want to get involved that way, that's something for you to consider also. Our board of director meetings are the second Tuesday of the month, and they're held right here in the Swain. So if there's a time that you'd like to see what's happening with the board of directors, by all means, come down and watch or listen to one of our meetings. You can become a member of WCTV, and we have several different memberships that are available that encompass equipment users or people that wish to just become a member and attend events or be on our mailing list. And that gives you a chance, again, of being involved in any number of ways without necessarily having to be on camera. There's a lot of exciting things, and I think that you know, WCTV, if I can compare it, it's kind of like eating potato chips. You have your first time, and then you just keep wanting more. People get involved, and maybe they're a little bit hesitant at first, again, because of what I said earlier about television and, you know, the technological things that they're afraid they might have to handle. But once they come down here and they get their hands on it, I think that you'll find that, and people, our volunteers, have found that it's addictive. They enjoy it, and they come back.
It is a warm feeling to teach a group of people, of residents in the town that can range anywhere between the ages of 15 and 65. No limit, I'm just throwing out numbers. It's a very warm feeling to teach, say, a 60-year-old person who's been working at a craft for all her life or his life. Teach them how to use video, teach them how to edit a piece together. One of my warmest stories is that I taught a man how to use editing equipment. He was flabbergasted the first night, he was flabbergasted the second night. Then he finally produced a full program that went on the channel, and he showed it periodically to his kids. And his kids said, "Do you know how to do that, Dad? You're not supposed to know how to do that." And he knows how to do it. His kids don't, but he does, because he came down to the studio, learned the equipment, learned the editing facility, and now he produced a program. There's no reason why anyone can't come down and produce a program. The equipment is state-of-the-art, and when you first see it, you may be taken back, like Susan was saying, oh my God, television. It's not that difficult. Running the the studio camera tonight is Paul Dion, one of our board of directors, but also just a person who didn't know too much about running a studio camera, came down, and he can't get enough of it. Also behind the scenes tonight is Mark Blair, who's directing and running all the craziness behind in the control room. Again, Mark Blair came down and he can't get enough of it. Those two are just an example of the people who produce programming here. The equipment is state-of-the-art, but I think that the majority of the viewers would be able to use the equipment that we have with the proper training. My classes are once a season, fall, spring, summer, winter. The next available one is in spring of 1991. But, as a little aside, if you belong to a community organization, or if you're a teenager who has about 8 to 10 friends who want to produce a show, get your people together, get your organization together, give me a call and say, can we take a special course just for our organization on Thursday evenings or Tuesday afternoons? And we can work it out so that your organization can have a special class just for your organization to produce a program. So we're always teaching courses so that we'll teach as many people in Wilmington to use our equipment as we possibly can. We have built this studio for you, the viewer, the community organization, and the resident of Wilmington. Susan and the task force has worked very hard to find a facility, fill it with the most state-of-the-art equipment, put me here, and do everything possible so that you can come down and produce programming. We laugh about if you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you have a message that you have to get out to the community, you can stand on the street corner, you can yell at the top of your lungs, you can put it in the town crier if Captain Lars will put it in for you. You can do all of that, but can you actually talk on television? You can. All you have to do is get the proper training, and you can give your message to all the people in Wilmington at once, or whoever has channel 30 and 52 on. So we're very pleased with the amount of work that Susan and the task force and the other members of the board of directors have done. Again, the phone lines are open, 657-4066, Wednesdays only.
Something else that I think people who may be sitting at home right now watching this would like to consider, if you have a story idea, but you perhaps don't want to or don't have the time to do a whole program. There are people that we have on a sign-up sheet who have already taken the courses that would love to be able to be involved in a program. Perhaps they don't have the time to sit down and come up with a story idea. What we try and do down here is facilitate and bring these people together. If you have a story idea, if you're not camera shy and you'd like to be on camera, but you wouldn't want to necessarily run the cameras or do the editing or do any of the other types of work, you can be involved that way as well. Come on down to the station and Karen can supply you or bring you together with people who love to do camera and love to do editing and would like to be involved on the other side of the program. And I think that you're hearing a lot from Karen and I this evening about this side and that side. This side being those of us who like to be on camera and like to do hosting, and that side being the behind the scenes, Mark in the control room and Paul behind the camera right now. You may just have a story idea. You may like to see something covered. We would encourage you to come on down and get the training. It's relatively inexpensive, and I think that it makes a big difference in how a program is put together. If you have a story idea and you understand what it takes to get that story on the air, it helps you to think out your storyline. So we always encourage people to get involved and to be trained. But you can come up with just the idea alone, and there are people here who are eager to work with you on it. So consider that. There might be someone at home who has a hobby. a gardener that would like to start this spring right from early March, getting the soil ready all the way through to September when they start harvesting their final vegetables. Great, come on down. I mean, there's that type of an idea.
And there's a lot going on around town. There's a lot of holiday concerts, a lot of holiday plays at the little
Exactly.
kids. So you don't just have to have a story idea or a show to put on for a hobby. You can just go out and videotape all that's going on in Wilmington. Susan, I lived up to my expectations. I went to the Wildwood holiday concert, little kids concert, and 4 people came up to me and tugged me on the sleeve and said, "Now you're the cable lady." And I said, "Yes, I'm the cable lady. When's this going to be on? When can I see it? How can I get copies? Call me." For all those little darlings who were doing the concert, 657-4066 if you want copies, if you want to know when it'll be on. I will be calling the schools to let them know when it's going to be on. But yes, if you see me around and I'm lugging the equipment, or you see me with someone else, we are the cable people. And you too can be the cable lady, or you too can be the cable guy. So I am the cable lady officially.
I'll have to preface that. Well, when we hired Karen, one of the things that we were happiest about, we're happy with many things, but one of the things that we were happiest about was her enthusiasm, which I think that you're all seeing this evening. But one of Karen's statements to us is, "I want the town to know who I am. I want the town to be able to say, oh, you're the cable lady," because she wants the town to recognize her and to recognize WCTV. So you've achieved your goal, which is nice to know.
WCTV is officially recognized as of yesterday in the pouring rain. In the pouring rain, WCTV was officially recognized. Now, you may see me running around with the equipment, but you may see other people. Please run up to them and ask them, "Are you part of WCTV? Are you part of that community?" And they'll say, "Yes, I am." And you can ask them questions, but most likely they'll direct you back to me. So I will give you any questions and answers that you may have.
And you're here on regular office hours too during the week. That
Crazy hours. You can catch me anytime between 9 in the morning and 11 at night. I'm in and out a lot, so please contact me by calling the studio before you come down, because I'd hate to have you make a wasted trip. Next week, next Wednesday, what date is that? I don't know what date that is. The 12th. Paul Dion, who's running camera right now, and I wish we could get a shot of him, but we can't. Paul Dion will be our second guest. He also is a member of the board. Paul is chairman of the Technical Advisory Committee. He is the one that he and I sit down constantly. We review the equipment. We see what needs repair and what we're pleased about with the equipment, what equipment that we need for 1991, etc. Paul Dion will be our guest on Talk to WCTV. Get your questions ready. The phone sort of rang tonight. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry if we lost you. Talk to WCTV, 657-4066, or if you're shy, you can write to us at WCTV, P.O. Box 35, Wilmington, Mass. 01887. Thank you so much, Susan, for coming.
Well,
I know that
Karen.
sounds trite, but it's true. Susan was gracious enough to jump right in and be our first guest. She is the Vice President of WCTV. If you have any questions or comments for her, you can send them care of WCTV at that address I just went on about. So you can write to her, ask any questions about being on the board, or you can write to me at that address or call at 657-4066. This is Talk to WCTV. My name is Karen Kirk, Karen M. Kirk, and we'll see you next week live at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Good night.